Hello and welcome to this edition of The Interview on France 24. I'm Robert Parsons, and my guest today may not be a household name outside Israel, but inside the country he's regarded as one of the most important players in Israeli politics. Many see him as a potential future leader of the country. Tzachi Hanegbi is currently Minister for Regional Cooperation. But across 3 decades, he has served variously as Minister of Communications, Minister of the Environment, Minister of Health, of Justice, of Internal Security, Intelligence and Nuclear Affairs. He's often referred to as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's right-hand man. Tzachi Hanegbi, welcome to the interview.
Thank you.
Looking across the Middle East at the moment, there seems to be turmoil everywhere, whether it's Iraq, Syria, Turkey, the Kurds, Islamic militants across the region. Obviously, this is of major concern for Israel, caught right in the middle of it. But at the same time, does Israel sense opportunities amidst all the turmoil?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, of course, all the tragedies, the chaotic events are very problematic, mostly to the people that live in the countries surrounding us. But we do feel that more and more Arab countries understand, because they understand that there's nothing for Israel to do with the tragedies that they are faced with. They understand that cooperation with Israel can be mutually beneficial. Yeah. And me as a Minister of Regional Cooperation has the responsibility to try and take advantage of this motivation and translate it to real cooperation.
And I suppose one of the countries that you may have had in mind when you said that is Saudi Arabia. A lot has been said recently about a burgeoning, almost undercover alliance between Israel and Saudi Arabia. But is that how you see it? That could be a future bedrock of Israeli policy in the region?
Our cooperation is mainly with the countries that we have peace with, like Jordan, Egypt, and we have kind of coexistence with, like, the Palestinians. We, of course, are eager to have more connections and more relations with the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, and others. That's not so easy, unfortunately, because...
Are you just being diplomatic now? Because clearly Saudi, if you want to deal with the Palestinians, if you had Saudi Arabia on board, that would mean an awful lot.
Well, I'm talking about practical projects, cooperation that is public. Of course, connections sometimes under the radar are happening in various dimensions, but that's not my responsibility. I'm happy that the Saudis have understood through the last decade that Israel not only is not their enemy, but is a player in the campaign against the real enemy, against Iran. So they see us more and more as a partner and even as an asset. Yeah. But they don't give a practical or public translation to this feeling.
So far? So
far.
But you're hoping they will?
There is a change. Now they gave confirmation to an Indian airplanes, Air India, to fly over from Israel to India over Saudi skies. That's unprecedented. It means Israelis every day, twice a day, go over Saudi Arabia, from Israel into India and back. So this was a sign that they're ready to think in a different way.
What people are saying is that Saudi Arabia, perhaps because of the developing conflict with Iran, is reassessing its relationship with Palestine. That Palestine, in the great scheme of things for Saudi Arabia, seems less important now than that. It's that changing dynamic, which is giving you the opportunity.
It is true that they care more about Iran than about the Palestinian issue, but we care about the Palestinians because we are going to pay the price of a conflict, and we are paying the price of an ongoing hostility with the Palestinians. So it's our incentive.
Okay, let's bring the United States into this as well, because obviously absolutely crucial to any possible deal. There's been lots of talk, not least from Donald Trump recently, about the deal of the century.
Yes.
What is the deal of the century? What is Jared Kushner's plan?
It's an enigma. It's a mystery. We don't know. I don't know if they still know or already know, but I know that they are very much motivated to bring something to the table that both sides would not be very enthusiastic about, but it means that they will be able to discuss it. And I've met with Jason Greenblatt, the special envoy of the President Trump, many times, trying to helping understand what Israel feels about. He met the Prime Minister, of course, many times, and he met with the Palestinian leadership. I believe that in the beginning of 2019, we will see some kind of a plan.
Okay, and what's going to be in it for the Palestinians? We heard Donald Trump saying recently, look, we've recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. We've moved our embassy to Jerusalem. Now it's payback time. Israel's got to give something to the Palestinians. What's he talking about?
We don't know, but we are ready. We told the president, the prime minister of Israel, just met with the president in New York and told him, come up with your plan.
Israel, but he's talking about a two-state plan, isn't he?
Israel will not be an obstacle.
Yeah.
And I hope that the Palestinians will be. But
is a two-state solution satisfactory to Israel?
Again, we don't know what will be the American proposal, but the Prime Minister made it clear. We have no desire to control over the Palestinians. On the contrary.
And East Jerusalem as a possible capital?
East Jerusalem and West Jerusalem are one city. We're not going to divide it once again. But we can find solutions that will have us all be satisfied. Jerusalem is not a problem.
But I suppose the question that the Palestinians might pose is, at the end of all this, is there going to be enough territory for a second state?
Well, I think they will be able to rule over themselves. They will not see Israelis.
But on what territory, I suppose, is the question.
Well, this has to be negotiated. We are not negotiating with the media. We want them to go back to the negotiation table. And I believe that they will be surprised how much Israel is ready to go forward, but they will have to go the extra mile too.
Okay, let's move away from Palestine for the moment and look at the wider picture, and Syria in particular. You're very concerned about the position of Iran within Syria. You've got a slightly difficult relationship with Russia at the moment because of the shooting down of the intelligence plane, which they put responsibility at your door for. The Russians are selling S-300 missile systems to the Syrians. Is that a big game changer for Israel, do you think?
The big picture is that Iran is trying to take advantage of the fact that the regime, Assad regime, is weak, and they want to entrench militarily near the border of Syria and Israel. This is something that we declared, and
it's a red line for you.
It's a red line. It's not going to happen.
But you say it's not going to happen, but can you stop it?
We are going to prevent it, no matter what the price is. But Russia is there. They have their interests. We have no conflict with Russia. On the contrary, we have good relations.
Despite the missile system?
Despite the fact that the Syrians shut down a Russian plane. We understand that we have to coordinate everything that we do there with Russia. So we have a mechanism of...
But just say, for the sake of argument, that the Syrians get trained on the S-300s, they shoot down an Israeli plane. You're going to go after that missile system?
Of course.
And despite the relationship with Russia?
It's not going to be Russian anymore. It's going to be Syrian. And we already had to destroy Russian missile batteries that were sold to Syria, and we had to attack them because they were shooting at us.
But Russian patience is fraying, isn't it?
We try to make the Syrian understand that we have nothing against Syria. When we work and attack and have to do something in Syria, it's against the Iranian entrenchment. It's not against Syria. We have nothing to do with the Assad regime.
But the problem for you is that the Syrian regime is not independent of the Iranians. The Iranians are in a position to dictate terms to the Syrians.
That's the problem of Syria. They are being sucked into a war with us that they have nothing to gain. And we believe that all in all, the Russians, the Syrians, the Iranians will understand that Israel is determined. We are going to prevent such a strategy of making war with Israel from Syria, and they'll have to surrender.
Do you fear, though, that the balance of power is swinging decisively against you in the Middle East? The United States in a very isolationist mood. Donald Trump frequently talking about the need to pull US troops out of northern Syria as soon as possible. Iran getting entrenched in Iraq, in Syria, already in Lebanon, the alliance with Hezbollah, and so on and so forth. it must look very black to you at times.
No, I think it's white. I think, on the contrary, I think that more and more Arab countries understand that the Iranian involvement makes the place not stable. They understand that it's the need of the world, including the Arab world, to see the end of the defiance of the Iranian regime. Even in Lebanon, when Hezbollah is very powerful, more and more voices are more pragmatic and less tend to escalate the situation. We would like to have an agreement with the Palestinians, both in Gaza and in Judea and Samaria, to put this conflict out of the equation and then focus on the Iranian problem. And we believe that on this specific front, we and the Arab world are united.
Okay, and that, I'm afraid, is where we're going to have to end it. Thanks very much to our guest, Tzachi Hanegbi. But don't go away, more news and headlines to follow soon.